Alright, so I'm making a new video here, and it's nothing to do with over Unity. And, yeah, sorry about my last video. That was, not very accurate. I should have realized that. Obviously, when there's a load, there is a drop in RPM, and I understand all that, and I will try not to make misconceptions like that as least as possible. But, anyway, so, moving on from that video, I at least showed you how much torque the motor output, which is actually impressive for the amount of power consumption, in my opinion. But anyway, now I something slightly different here. Actually, quite a bit different. So now I'm just powering these top coils on one switch and the bottom coils on the other switch here. So now I got pretty much a constant torque, which is beautiful. I love that. I love having a constant torque. And it's pretty powerful actually. I mean, I'm putting quite a bit of force on it. We're only at 321 volts on the capacitors, and this coil is just charging that capacitor, and that's the voltage of that capacitor. I actually was dumping the power from this capacitor back into these the capacitors that charge these capacitors that run the motor. So now if I discharge the stored energy that it made, drops it down to the voltage of the capacitors, the supercapacitors in here, and I take it off and it starts charging it again. The output is pretty low. As you can see that it barely does anything to these supercapacitors. I don't have the battery connected to these at all, so I'm just running straight off capacitor storage. But for anyone wondering, the power output on this is low, and it can't run the boost converter to charge these. Just so you know, get that out of the way. But my main thought on this one now is I got a good constant torque. I like that. Not only if I could have all 12 coils, but I don't. And another downfall to having it pulsed this way is I'm pulsing one side and then pulsing the other, and they're having a repulsion. And every time it fires, and it moves the rotor up and down because it's just levitating. So it kind of messes with the rotor just slightly, especially once the timing gets off. I had a hard time getting the timing right because I had to glue this in there to get it. So it was kind of difficult, but I got it pretty decent right now. Could be better, but it's pretty decent. So, yep, that's how I'm sitting right now. It's running off of these two capacitors at the moment, and that's the charge. And it doesn't really drain too much faster than it was just with one pulse. I'm trying to move stuff around so I can show you the amount of load when I put on here, how much it drops it. It's pretty fair amount of torque off of not too much of a drop on the capacitors. Now I'm not putting any load on it. I might do a video showing me. I'm gonna take a weight and put it on here with a string, wrap it around here, and see how long it takes to pull up a load of weight. And I probably could use that as a load test. I think that might be a good option. Otherwise, for like a dynamo, I don't know how to go about that, but how do you measure torque and RPM while the thing's spinning. So I could do like electromechanical, the output of the motor to charge something off of a coil. That could be my dynamo, or like I was saying before, with a pulley and a string and a weight, and how much time it takes to move that weight up to where it goes from the ground up to the motor shaft, and then that's when I'll call it quits. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of things I could do. But yeah, this is where I'm at the moment. You can see that that capacitor is constantly charging. Like I said though, it's not much. I'll drop it instantly. And if I were to leave this on there permanently, so now it's constantly charging the supercapacitors while draining and running off these capacitors. Just so you guys see that what size of voltage these are. 2 of them in series. Now if I pull power from these capacitors, that's the power from, or the voltage from the capacitor bank, and this is the voltage of that capacitor bank. Oops. So now I'm charging it. And as if it were over unity, if I was charging this, the output voltage would increase along with this input voltage would increase, but it's decreasing. So nope, not over unity. It's not much of a loss in this boost converter, but it's a lot for how I'm running this thing. So it's like 18 milliamps of current to run this, roughly. So it's not much, but it's a lot for this. So just to run that, it takes 18 milliamps. And then, there's losses everywhere. But yeah. So I'll run it to about 300 volts. But it's cool to see that we have a constant torque. Alright, well, that's where I'm at on the motor currently. Double pulsing. Almost constant current. Constant torque. Almost. Keyword. Alright, see you later.